Hi everyone, I'm Sophie from Carnegie Mellon University. I'm presenting our paper, Approaches to Diversifying the Programmer Community, the Case of the Girls Coding Day. Studies have shown that higher gender diversity is beneficial for software development teams. For example, it can reduce community smell and increase productivity. There are female adults who want to try out programming. There are coding camps that last for weeks, but most of them are either for pre-college female students or women who want to become professional programmers. There are also short-term events with project-based learning formats, such as hackathons. However, studies have shown that hackathons emphasize more on the competitive climate. Therefore, we need something that's short-term with project-based learning formats and provides mentoring support. In our paper, we used Girls Coding Day as a case study. Girls Coding Day is a one-day coding workshop that allows participants to try out programming. Although the workshop takes place in one day, the entire event spans 1 week. A week before the event, there is a kickoff event where we announce projects, assign participants to mentoring groups, and distribute handouts. In the following week, we encourage the participants to read the handout and discuss it with their mentors. During the workshop, participants work on individual projects. Mentors are there to answer questions and help with technical problems. We wanted to study if the format of Girls Coding Day is effective. We have 3 research questions. The first one is about participants' motivations. The second one is how was the design related to their intention to continue learning about programming. The third one is how was the design related to their perception about their own coding ability. Due to the time limit, I will only present findings to the third research question. Please read our paper to find out the results to the first 2 research questions. We organized several Girls Coding Day workshops on different topics. We had 12 workshops on HTML and CSS and 17 on Python. After each event, we distributed a short survey for their feedback on the events. From the answers, we identified components that can be measured, such as handout, mentoring experience, kickoff events, and learning satisfaction. Then we designed the second survey to measure these components. We performed correlation analysis and thematic analysis on the answers. Here are some findings to answer the third research question. Firstly, we found that participants still have low perceived coding ability. The histograms here are participants' level of comfort using technologies they learned. We can see that the means are relatively low, and some of them are below 3. We found that satisfaction with a handout correlates with higher perceived coding ability. From the thematic analysis, we found some benefits of the handout. For example, it's newbie-friendly because it starts with the basics and helps the participants prepare for the event. However, some participants mentioned that it should be more readable, especially for those who don't know about programming. We also found that mentoring experience was perceived to be the most useful. We can see that both variables are relatively high means. Some benefits are mentoring experience increased learning effectiveness and expanded their social circle because they could meet with people from different disciplines. There are some unsatisfying aspects. For example, the group assignment was arbitrary, so some participants without prior knowledge were assigned to the same group as those who knew some programming, so the mentoring had to be done individually. Some also reported that the mentor's professionalism was unequal. Some seem to know better about the language and some know less. Although we didn't find correlations between the kickoff event and the perceived coding ability, participants reported that the event makes the workshop more effective because they can install software and configure environments beforehand. Finally, we learned that learning satisfaction correlates with higher perceived coding ability. However, we found that both learning satisfaction and outcome satisfaction are relatively low. One major reason is that the duration was too short. So that brings us to the pros and cons we found of short duration events. Here are some pros. It was sufficient to get participants interested in computer programming and help them get started. Providing handouts beforehand can reduce the disadvantage of the short duration. And here are some cons. It was a haste. Due to the short duration, we couldn't cover materials in more details, and we couldn't cover more materials. And there's also a lack of follow-up curriculums. To summarize our paper, we used Growth Coding Day as a case study for diversifying the programmer community. We wanted to study whether the short-term event is effective. We designed a multi-case study to answer our research questions. And we found that participants do have low perceived coding ability and some components that might correlate with the results. We made the service available online. Thank you.